But first, that big political story. The Narendra Modi government today perhaps faced its biggest embarrassment since it came to power in 2014 in the Uttarakhand High Court, after the court set aside the imposition of president's rule in the state. The High Court has made some scathing observations against the centre, terming the president's rule a breach of Supreme Court guidelines. A red-faced BJP has called all its state MLAs to Dehradun ahead of the now trust vote on the 29th of April. The centre has also decided to move the top court tomorrow to challenge the verdict of the High Court. Ashar Khan and Brajesh Pandey with our top story tonight.
It's the biggest loss of face for the Modi Sarkar, with the Uttarakhand High Court scrapping president's rule in the state. It was a harsh lashing for the Modi government, as the court observed that Article 356 was imposed in the state contrary to the law, when it should be a matter of last resort. The court added that the 9 dissident Congress MLAs would have to pay the price of committing a constitutional sin of defecting by being disqualified.
What brought trouble for itself in the court? When the judge asked the ASG whether he is willing to give an assurance that for 1 week the president rule will not be revoked before the judgment is given, the ASG denied. The judges took a 5-minute break and then they cancelled the president's order.
Harish Rawat, who was removed as chief minister, has passed the judicial test and hopes to sail through the floor test in the state on the 29th of April. This even as the BJP proclaims that Rawat enjoys no majority in the assembly.
मैं बिल्कुल कॉन्फिडेंट हूं जहां तक नंबर्स का सवाल है। अब इस समय ये सब चीजें गौण हो गई हैं, ये एक बड़ी लड़ाई थी।
हमें कोई आश्चर्य नहीं, क्योंकि 3 दिन से जिस प्रकार बेंच से टिप्पणियां हो रही थी उससे लग रहा था कि निर्णय अपेक्षित है, पर इस बात के लिए एक प्रश्नवाचक चिन्ह जरूर है हमारे दिमाग में कि एक ऐसे मुख्यमंत्री जो कि स्टिंग ऑपरेशन में सीधे सीधे दिखाई दिए, सारे देश ने देखा, उनको हाईकोर्ट ने रिलीफ दी है।
Congress party has always maintained that we are ready to face the floor test. We will win the floor test. It is BJP who has been stopping Congress party from proving its majority on the floor of the House.
It's a major dent for the BJP in an election year. Embarrassed by the major setback, the centre is planning to challenge this verdict in the Supreme Court. With Brajesh Pandey, Nainital, in Dehradun, Ashar Khan for India Today.
So what are the various options that this historic, in a way, verdict of the High Court has now thrown up? What lies ahead? Maha Siddiqui tells you what exactly are the challenges now for the Chief Minister Harish Rawat if he is to survive that trust vote on the 29th of April.
The Uttarakhand High Court has set aside President's rule in the state, which means Harish Rawat is back in the saddle. But he will have to prove his majority on the floor of the House on the 29th of April. At present, there are 2 possible scenarios that are likely to play out on the 29th of April in the Assembly, depending on whether the rebel Congress MLAs are allowed to vote or not. Scenario number 1 is the one that the Congress will surely want, and that is that the 9 rebel Congress MLAs are not allowed to vote. That will reduce the strength of the House to 62. The majority that will then be required is 31. Congress says that along with the BSP and others, it has 33 MLAs on its side, and therefore it will be smooth sailing for Harish Rawat. But the problem will arise for the Congress party under scenario number 2, which is when the rebel Congress MLAs are allowed to vote. The strength of the House is 71, the majority required will be 36, which means that the BJP, that at present has 28 seats in the Assembly, along with the 9 Congress rebel MLAs, will have 37. And therefore, it will be advantage BJP in scenario number 2.
Okay, let's go straight across first to look at what this Uttarakhand verdict really means. I want to give you the big takeaways. Why is this such a significant verdict? President's rule now will be subject to judicial review. That's very clear, that an order of the President of India can also be subject to judicial review is very clear as a result of what has happened. If President's rule is exercised without due application of mind, it can be overturned. That's what has become very clear now. If President's rule is imposed without due application of mind, it can be overturned. A floor test is the best way to decide on a government's majority. This is what was said in the SR Bomai test, and this is exactly what has been affirmed today in the High Court. Defections cannot be done in violation of the 1/3 rule. Remember, a section of the Congress MLAs had defected. The court is making it very clear that it believes that these kind of defections cannot be done. What does it mean though for the BJP? What does this verdict mean for the BJP? The Uttarakhand verdict. Take a look at what we believe it means for the BJP. It's an embarrassment for the Modi government at the center. The BJP will have to be much more careful next time before it fishes in troubled waters. It's a setback to the Amit Shah strategy of encouraging Congress defections. What does this now mean for the Congress? Because the Congress party also has to look at it. It's a temporary reprieve for the Harish Rawat government. It's a big boost for the opposition ahead of the second half of the budget session of Parliament that begins next week. But the Congress will still have to worry about its numbers in the floor test on the 29th. Okay, let's go straight to our face-off now, the two sides of the story. Former Law Minister of the Congress Party, Veerappa Moily, is joining me, and I'm also joined by Sambit Patra. I appreciate both of you joining me on the program today. Sambit Patra, you're normally someone who's always smiling and beaming. Today, do you concede that this is the biggest embarrassment? This is the biggest embarrassment that the Narendra Modi government has faced since it came to power in May 2014.
No, Rajdeep, even now I'm smiling. You know, when you have a long political inning, there may be certain legal glitches, but remember the intention of the party, the intention of the government is what matters. The intention of the party, that is the Bharatiya Janata Party, and the intention of the government, that is the central government, which our party has, was only to see to it that since the Appropriation Bill could not pass on 18th of March 2016, the state of Uttarakhand should not be bereft of the budget post 1st April 2016.
No, hold on. That argument has been rejected summarily by the court today. I have with me, Sambit Patra, Arun Jaitley's defense, making exactly the point that you made, that because the budget could not be passed by the Uttarakhand Assembly, the Appropriation Bill could not be passed, therefore we impose President's rule. And he has justified it. That argument has been rejected. The Finance Minister and the former Law Minister, Arun Jaitley's argument has been rejected. How can you not call this an embarrassment? This is the biggest embarrassment you've faced since May 2014. Why not accept that today?
No, well, as far as you call this as really bad and this has been rejected, I would say, I would react in a different manner. I would say as far as the Uttarakhand President rule is concerned, it is one of its kind, because only about recently, once the President rule was imposed, and for the first time there was a PIL filed in the High Court, a single judge has heard it, there was a different kind of judgment. We had seen as to how even the 9 people, those who were disqualified previously, were allowed to vote during that tenure, saying that their vote would be kept aside and would be counted when the real counting would be done. Today we have a different kind of verdict. So naturally, let's wait for the central government to appeal in the higher court.
Are you conceding as of 8:52 on this day you are embarrassed or not? Your strategy of breaking the Congress to form a government in Uttarakhand as of today, as per the High Court verdict, has come up proper.
Let me answer this categorically, since you want a specific answer, whether we are left in the dark, whether we are shivering with pain or not.
No, embarrassed.
Say, look,
embarrassed. I'm only using the word embarrassed.
Well. Are we shameful? Let me tell you. Look at the chronology of the events that took place as far as the imposition of Uttarakhand President's rule is concerned. It was in fight within the Congress. Fractions within the Congress were fighting. Senior leaders, not junior ones. Senior leaders were fighting. Why were they fighting? Because there was corruption in the state since long, and that is the reason of their fight. The division of the vote was demanded by the fraction within the Congress as well as the opposition. There was attempt, in fact, to change the composition of the House by means which were caught in the sting operation. None other than the Chief Minister was indicted. All the wrongdoings were of the Congress, and I should be the one who should feel sorry for it. Why should the BJP feel sorry for it?
Because today you have been rapped on the knuckles in the hardest possible manner by the High Court. I mean, never before in the history has a President's rule order been struck while it has been imposed, while it is still on, and a government has been revived. This is the first of its kind. Will you concede or not? I'm going to ask you one more time. I want to get that word out of you. Are you embarrassed or not?
Now, as far as you saying that, well, we have been hit by the ruler on our knuckles by the High Court, I would say certain stray and uncalled for comments were really made against the President of India at least. I would surely say the President of India is beyond certain comments which were not warranted. Calling him infallible, that if the President can make mistakes, I think this has never happened in the history of the country, and I pray upon the Lordship that this should not happen in the future as well, because President is not just an individual, he is the constitutional head of India, so naturally using such words for the President is absolutely uncalled for.
Okay, you're making, that's the closest you've come to giving me a strong news point, but Veerappa Moily, you're a former law minister. Do you in some way believe at best this can be called a temporary reprieve, sir, for the Congress party? At the end of the day, you will have to prove your majority on the floor, and there are enough restive Congress MLAs who could still defect. So is this a temporary reprieve, or do you believe this is a historical constitutional landmark judgment?
No, it is a historical landmark judgment. The manner in which they acted, in this case central government, and also the BJP, because ultimately it comes to that, on record, BJP writes a letter to the governor, and BJP writes a letter. On that basis, the governor's rule was imposed. Never done in the history of this country. And the governor has asked the chief minister to prove his majority on the floor of the house. And what happens? Even without a proper recommendation of the government, President, Government of India thinks that they should recommend for a proclamation to keep the assembly in suspension. Keeping the assembly in suspension, as said by the judgment itself, that it will breed more corruption, horse trading. This is not meant.
No, but the horse trading,
and sting operation,
Mr. Moily,
BJP's letter.
No, Mr. Moily, the horses were the Congress horses. Yes. Let's be fair. The one point which Sambit Patra makes, which is a valid point, that the fact is it was your MLAs who were defecting. The original defections took place because there was a restiveness among the Congress. You cannot. BJP may have fished in troubled waters, but the trouble was in your waters.
No. How can you say? No. It is not a question. This is the clear agenda on the behalf of the BJP chief in the country, that they want to create a Congress Mukt Bharat. This is what they wanted to, one by one the agenda is unleashed. What happened in Arunachal, then they wanted to have it in Himachal and Manipur, and of course here they want to give a credit that Congress itself, there is an inner, who are these BJP people, to set right whatever, inside our party. It is our business.
Can I
and I am telling you, because no, 1 minute. The High Court itself has indicated, saying that it's a constitutional sin is committed by those MLAs. It's a clear word, endorsement of what Speaker has said.
I know they've
Speaker
used,
is also an authority.
Sir, I know they've used the word
authority. Governor is also a constitutional authority.
I know they've used very strong words. They've called it a constitutional sin, which is why Sambit Patra, I want to try and understand from you. Is the BJP now going to abandon this strategy of breaking the Congress to form governments? You did it in in Arunachal, you succeeded. You tried it in Uttarakhand, you failed. This idea of a Congress Mukt Bharat, wouldn't it be better to wait for election in Uttarakhand that are 8 months away, rather than break the government and try and form it and bring yourself discredit to? You have been discredited today.
Rajdeep, in fact, I had highest regard for Mr. Moily, wait. Mr. Moily, it's a question to me by Rajdeep. Mr. Moily, I had highest regards for you. And I thought as a erudite lawyer, you would be throwing legal points. But what I gather today, you are just throwing rhetoricals, and I as a surgeon talking about the legalities. But anyways, your question, Rajdeep, that the Congress has been broken by the Bharatiya Janata Party is absolutely ridiculous. Why is the Congress getting broken in the first place? If they are so strong, if they are so cohesive, if they are really dedicated to their ideology as they are claiming, Why are they getting broken?
So you will
Are
continue
they
with this
saleable that
strategy?
someone is coming and buying them?
So you will
Not at
continue
all.
with this strategy?
We were never, Rajdeep, we were never into the strategy of breaking anyone. We were in fact in the strategy of seeing to it that those who are breaking the country, those who are breaking the machinery of constitution are the ones who are taught a lesson. We are not into this business of breaking anyone.
On any other day I would accept your comment, Sambit Patra. Please don't say it today. Today is a day when you should be a little more, I think, with due respect, accept the judicial verdict with humility and accept that the judge has not even just actually rapped you on the knuckles. I was being very gentle with you. He has actually given you all what you would call in Hindi a fatkar, the strongest possible indictment of the way in which this government was toppled in Uttarakhand.
That is why, with all my humility, with all the humility at my disposal, I maintained that certain comments were absolutely unwarranted, uncalled for, especially for the president, and some other issues also should have been best avoided. But anyways, it is the discretion of the judge, and this is the beauty of democracy, that we can discuss a judgment as well without countering it. But the two technical points that I wanted to make about the judgment. A, the judgment at one point speaks about the fact that, well, why did not the government fall on March 18 itself? Because the division, if the division would have taken place as demanded by the opposition as well as the 9 MLAs, would naturally have seen to it that the government would have fallen. This is mentioned in the judgment. And second part which I really draw from the verdict is, in fact, they wrapped the governor also. Why did you provide time till 28th? Why not till 19th only? On 19th itself, there should have been a floor test.
Okay.
I absolutely agree. The floor test should have been on 19th.
Let's leave it there. Having said that, remember the BJP moved ahead with the president's rule rather than allowing that floor test to take place, and that is exactly what the court has intervened and said was the wrong move that the party made. Whether you like it or not, and you refuse to use the word that you are embarrassed, I leave that to you. Whether you are embarrassed or not, but Veerappa Moily and Sambit Patra, I appreciate the two of you joining me at the top of the program. Thank you very much. The man of the moment is Harish Rawat. Think about it. He was not a chief minister of the state till a few hours ago. He is now back as chief minister, if only till the 29th of April. He joins me now, and I want to ask him just a couple of questions. Mr. Rawat, you're smiling, or you don't have the smile on, but you said you will prove your majority. Please tell me, how are you so confident given the fact that there are rebel MLAs even now who are siding with the BJP?
My party colleagues are with me, and I have the support of the supporting party and the independent MLA, UKD and the BSP. They are with our government.
You say, Mr. Rawat, the BJP is fishing in troubled waters, but tell me, why are the waters of the Congress so troubled that so many MLAs seem to want to switch sides?
क्या ये भाजपा ने एक सिद्धांत बना लिया कि जहाँ भी जरा सा गड़बड़ होगी जिस पार्टी के अंदर, तो वहाँ वो डिफेक्शन करवाएंगे? क्या आप ये सजेस्ट करना चाह रहे हैं? और यदि ये है तो फिर जो केंद्र सरकार है वो कहीं भी राजनीतिक अस्थिरता पैदा कर देगी. फिर आज उत्तराखंड है, कल कोई और राज्य होगा, तो इसका अर्थ है जितनी नॉन भाजपा गवर्नमेंट्स हैं उनका भविष्य खतरे में है. तो इसलिए हमारी पार्टी के अंदर यदि असंतोष कहीं किसी का था तो पार्टियों के अंदर ही उसका समाधान निकाला जाता है, और हम पार्टी के अंदर समाधान के लिए अलग अलग फोरम बने हुए हैं. कांग्रेस पार्टी के अंदर देयर आर सो मेनी फोरम्स जहां आदमी अपनी बात कह सकता है और समाधान ढूंढ सकता है. इवन वी हैव ए highest policy taking body at the state level, that is the coordination committee, and Mr. Behguna and one of his colleagues were the member of that coordination committee. तो आप जो है अपने किसी कहीं कोई आपकी पार्टी के अंदर असंतोष,
Mr. Rawat,
उस असंतोष.
Mr. Rawat, I want to ask you one simple last question. Are you still scared that the BJP will break your party, poach your MLAs? You are still in a vulnerable position, yes or no?
For last 15 days, 15-20 days, they are trying their best. पूरा उत्तराखंड में घूम घूम करके कह रहे हैं विधायक चाहिए करके, और मगर लोग समझ गए हैं खेल को। अब उत्तराखंड की जनता इस समय जो है इस खेल के खिलाफ उठ करके खड़ी होगी। उत्तराखंड समझ रहा है कि जो दल बदल का घाव लगाया गया है ये हमारे शरीर पर नाशूर लगा दिया है, ये कैंसर बन जाएगा। तो उत्तराखंड इसके खिलाफ संघर्ष के लिए खड़ा है पूरी तरीके से। आज हरीश रावत नहीं लड़ रहा है, उत्तराखंड की जनभावना लड़ रही है, यहाँ के गाँव गाड़ गधेरे लड़ रहे हैं, यहाँ का गरीब और आम आदमी लड़ रहा है भाजपा से, और भाजपा समझ रही है इस बात को। और उनको अब
Mr. Rawat, you're not answering my question.
All right, we're getting news that after getting DNA samples, or rather giving the DNA samples of the 4 Pakistani terrorists killed in the Pathankot airbase attack, India is now contemplating disposing of the dead bodies lying.
There's the hair. But then I decided to use the public transport. And now I feel I look like Natha. But don't you worry, the show looks fantastic.